Welcome to Lunch Money. We are so excited that you decided to join us today. For those that are coming back, thank you so much for tuning back in. And if today is your very first time joining us for Lunch Money, you are definitely in for a treat. As you can see today, we have two lovely guests with us. One of the things that I want you to remember is that this is the third part of a three-part series on credit. And today we're going to be discussing and diving deep into collections. So remember, the worksheet that we provided for you when you registered, go ahead and pull that out so you can follow along with this episode. And also, if you have any questions or you want to make any comments, go ahead and use that chat feature, because in the end, we're going to have our Q&A, and we want to make sure that we answer your questions and we provide feedback to any of the comments that you make. Now, remember, if you have not printed out that worksheet, don't you dare worry, because we're going to go ahead and drop that link in the chat so you can go ahead and click on it now and print that out so you can follow along. Now, I mentioned that we have two great guests with us today, and I'm going to allow these ladies to introduce themselves.
Hey everyone, my name is Terry. I am a resolution supervisor here at Guardian Credit Union. I've been here for 13 years. I've been in collections for 18 years. Here at the credit union, I assist our specialists in coming up with solutions to cure delinquencies.
Hi guys, my name is Amanda. I'm the collections manager here at Guardian Credit Union. I've been with the credit union for 7 years, and I've been doing collections for a total of about 20 years. So hopefully my broad range of collections can assist you.
Perfect. Well, I'm so excited. We have some really great individuals to talk through collections. So let's go ahead and see what's on the menu today.
What is collections? How does it work? Acknowledging your debt in collections and how to take control of it.
And then we'll wrap up with consolidating debt in collections.
Well, the first part is you have to understand what collections is, right? So Terry, why don't you go ahead and give us the definition of collections?
Okay, well, to me, collections is the process of pursuing a delinquent payment by an individual or a business. And I'll let Amanda explain to you how collections work.
Okay, Terry. Collections is not for everyone. Every situation is different. Basically, a financial institution lends you money based on your ability to pay. Now, for some reason, you've started to fall behind and you're avoiding letters and phone calls. Then the financial institution feel like there's a breakdown in communication. Then that's when the collections team come into play. Collections will call, send letters, texts, and emails.
Well, I know just from personal experience, it can kind of seem overwhelming when you have something in collections. It's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So let's talk about acknowledging your debt in collections.
Okay. All right. The first thing to do is just acknowledge the debt. Acknowledge the debt. Do not ignore it. Ignoring your debt does not make it go away. It'll only cause more damage to your credit score and the relationship that you've built with that financial institution. Keep in mind, if you ignore the debt, yes, eventually the calls and the letters will stop, but that is never a sign that that debt is gone away. Contact your lenders. We understand that bad things happen to good people, but the longer you wait to reach out to us, your debt will become further delinquent. And the further delinquent you are, the harder it is for us to come up with a solution for you. Be honest. Give us your full story about what's going on with your financial situation. Never tell us what you think we want to hear. Just to get us off the phone. Remember, your word is your bond. And in order for us to help you, we have to be able to trust that you'll just do the right thing.
Well, Terry, I want you to talk a little bit more when you say share your story, because often when you are experiencing that anxiety to reach out to a collector, it's like, oh my God, what do I say? So I think I'm only thinking about the financial part of it. When you say tell the story, what do you really want to hear?
We want to hear it all. Like, I want to hear what's actually happening with you. If it's new expenses or, you're sick, anything like that. We understand, and we're here to help you figure out the best way to help you become current again. So just reach out to us and give us the whole scenario.
Perfect. So that leads us right into how to take control of your debt in collections. And Amanda, I wanted you to talk to us about some different ways that we can get a hold of our collections.
Okay. First of all, I want to let everyone know that we are here to help you. One of our options would be a due date change, and it's based on your ability to pay. We can set you up on weekly, bi-weekly, semi-monthly, or monthly payments. For example, if your payment is due on the 1st, we can possibly move your due date to the 10th. We also offer loan extensions. And with a loan extension is where we take your payment that's past due and put it to the end of the loan, and it actually stretch out your maturity date. You can actually get 2 loan extensions throughout the life of the loan, and we can extend up to 2 payments. And keep in mind, a loan extension, it may not be best for everyone. A loan extension is based on a temporary setback or a hardship.
Well, when you're talking about a temporary setback or a hardship, could you be more specific about that?
Sure, it could be a reduction in income, hours have been cut, illness, emergency home repairs, auto loans, or death in the family.
Okay.
We also have a payment plan where we could take the payments that's past due and we can set the members up on a payment and a half, payment and a third, or payment and a fourth.
Okay, and when you say payment and a half and payment and a fourth, just for those of us who don't know what that means, could you explain and go into a little bit more detail about that?
Sure, I can. That's where you continue to make your regular monthly payment, and then that half, that third, or the fourth will be what you're past due on. So eventually you will actually get caught up on your payments by doing that.
Okay. And then once you're caught up on your payments, do you just stop making that half or that third payment? What should I do with those funds?
Since you're accustomed to doing a payment and a half, third, or fourth, my suggestion would be to actually continue making that payment and putting the other half, the third, or the fourth in a savings account. Just in case you're back in a financial bind, you'll have that money there to assist you. Or you can actually pay that extra half, third, or fourth of the payment and put it toward your principal balance.
That's a really great tip. I mean, that's pretty awesome. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about the interest and late fees that accumulate, because you've given us some really great ways to take control of our debt in collections. But when you're talking about interest and late fees, how does that work on a payment plan or an extension request?
With that, your interest here at Guardian, it still will accrue daily. And your late fees, they'll continue to add up. But if you keep the payment plan that you're on, you'll eventually get to a point where your loan is current, you won't receive any late fees, and the majority of the payment will go toward the principal balance and less on interest.
Oh, perfect. Well, listen, hey, I know you all are listening to this great information that we're receiving. Make sure you use the chat feature if you have any questions about anything that we've covered so far. And I hope that you're following along with your worksheet so that you're jotting down this great information and really great tips that these ladies are providing us today. So now that we understand what collections is, and we know what to do in acknowledging our debt and collections and how to take control of it, let's talk a little bit about consolidating debt and collections.
Okay. So debt consolidation is where you roll multiple debts into one loan to get a fixed interest rate. Typically, things that are rolled into that loan is high interest debt like credit cards. Most institutions work those up into forms of unsecured loans and secured loans that have available equity that you can roll those cards into that loan.
Okay, and so how does that specifically work for collections?
Okay, we can actually do a rework or restructure the debt. And it will actually depend on your situation because no situations are the same. We can possibly lower your payment, lower your interest rate, or we may even be able to consolidate all of your debt into one.
And so an example of that, Amanda, would be something like what?
An example would be a member that has paid on his auto loan for 2 years, never been past due. He also may have a signature loan that's past due and a Visa that's past due. Based on the equity in the vehicle, we may be able to consolidate all of those loans into one.
And even though this member could potentially be in collections with the signature loan and a credit card, because they have the available equity in a vehicle loan, you're able to reconstruct that loan and consolidate all of their collections into one monthly payment.
Exactly.
Perfect. I think we've gotten some really great information today. And one thing that I hear loud and clear is that every situation is completely different.
Exactly.
And I think that you've also informed us that we definitely want to hear your story. We want to talk about what's going on and what's happening with you individually so that we can make sure that we get you back on track, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, wonderful. We're down to the Q&A, and I'm so excited to be able to get to these questions that have been coming in. So let's jump in, ladies. So I also want to make sure we give you an opportunity before we start answering the questions, because so many of you have done such a great job with sending these questions in. They are rolling right in here. Terry, I'm going to give you a moment and just give a synopsis and just a brief statement about collections.
Okay. One thing that I would just like to say is, you guys, don't be afraid of collections. Always remember, reach out to us, and that we are actually here to help you. So we don't want to see anybody fail. Just make sure you guys keep in contact with us.
And as you can see, we started with, I had two guests, but Amanda unfortunately had to step away. Duty does call sometimes, so we had to let her go. So Terry's going to be here with me so that we can go ahead and get to your questions. Now, one question that actually came in, someone asked, were there previous parts, the previous parts 1 and 2, were they available? We went ahead and dropped that link in the chat so that you have access to our episodes that we've done previously. So a question that has come in, it says, is it hard to work with a debt collector?
No, it's not hard at all. As long as you guys stay open-minded and just know, like I said before, that, you know, we want what's best for you and we want what's best for the credit union, then no, just call us and let us know what's going on.
And even if your collections, like you said, aren't necessarily with us at the credit union, just have an open mind with whomever those collections are with so that you can work with them. Another question that came up was, what should I do if I receive a demand for payment letter in the mail and I'm not able to pay what they're asking?
So if you get a demand letter, that could be delinquent notices, a demand for payment. Sometimes they're called even acceleration letters. If you get anything like that in the mail, you guys do not ignore it. Again, there is some type of contact information on that letter. Reach back out to that party that sent that letter to you. Let them know what's going on. I can't say it enough. We just need to know what's going on so that we'll be able to help you.
Okay, perfect. Now, one of the questions that has come in also says, why is it better to pay off collections and not settle when cleaning up your credit?
Payoff is always better. It pays it off of your credit completely. But when you settle, sometimes it'll show up as a settlement on your credit report. And it'll still report for the amount of years that it's supposed to report on there, even though they're not going after you for that particular debt.
Okay. And another question that's come in, it says, does this only apply to Guardian loans and collections or that are on your credit report? So the information that we're providing definitely is, because we do have our Guardian specialist here, we are talking about Guardian, but in general, the information that we're providing you also is about any collections that you have out there. Working with those debt agencies is very important, and I'll let Terry go ahead and explain a little bit more in detail.
Right. All I can talk about really is here at Guardian. I know we try to help you guys as much as possible if you fall into a bad situation. Like I said before, we do know here at Guardian that bad things happen to good people. So as long as you're trying to stay in contact with us, everything will be, fine, and we'll help you as much as possible.
Now, we do have another question that kind of is piggybacking off of the question we just asked before, Terry, but I'm going to read it anyway, if that's okay. It says, how does it benefit with paying an account in collections when it's still going to be reported to the credit bureaus?
Like I said before, if it's in collections, keep in mind, one day you're going to need to get money again, go to somebody and borrow some more money. So cleaning up your credit, paying that debt that's already in collections will help you out. Maybe not right now, but in the future it will.
Perfect. That's great advice, Terry. Thank you. Another question's come in. It says, can you explain a settlement and what it is?
So a settlement is where you have a debt that goes into collections. Just say $5,000.
Okay.
$5,000 is the total amount of that debt. You call in and say, hey, I don't have the whole 5,000.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I have 2,500. Will you take that as a settlement to release a judgment against me, so that I can go ahead and be able to maybe start applying to get a house or something like that? Is when most people go in and settle. It won't show up as paid in full. It will show as a settlement and eventually follow up your credit.
Perfect. So the settlement does help sometimes if you know you don't have a certain amount of money available to you, but you are interested in cleaning up your credit because you have goals that you set for yourself. One of the things that we mentioned very early on is setting financial goals so that you know the path that you're going to, and cleaning up some old collections is part of that. Being able to settle does help you out because you do have funds available and you use that money to then be able to move forward to your new goals that you had. Well, Terry, we also have another question coming in. In the past, I had extremely rude, mean people calling and harassing our employees and were going through an extremely rough time. In Alabama, does the consumer have any resources against people of this nature?
As far as calling the employer, we, as a collections department, we can call. We try not to give out we will not give out any personal information. Again, if that's the case, just make sure if you're the employer that you give your employee that information, have them to call. If you don't want us to call, just say, hey, this is a place of business. Could you just stop calling?
Absolutely. And like you mentioned before, collections is different for so many different agencies, so many different places. Here at Gardner, we definitely pride ourselves in making sure we're reaching out to you respectfully, because we are trying to work with you. We really want to make sure that we're having a conversation, which again, most often, if you would agree, that we really don't reach out to your employers until we've tried exhaustively to reach you on your personal lines, your cell phone, via email, via mail, in that order, correct?
Right. And the best thing to do is just call us first. So if you're going to be past due and your payment was due or you're a couple months past due, just reach out to that particular company first. Let them know that you are aware. Let them know that you're trying, and that'll eliminate all the phone calls.
Okay, perfect. Now, we do have one more question that did pop up. It says, if I have an account in collection, does it have a huge impact on my credit?
Yes, if you have an account in collections, unfortunately, it will have some type of impact on your credit. Most places, I know here at the credit union, on the last business day of the month, that's when we report to the credit bureaus. Mm-hmm. So whatever your status is that last day, that's what it's going to show. So my thing is to try to get it taken care of before that last business day of the month.
Okay. All right, and I'm just checking to make sure we have any other additional questions. Okay, we do. If a payment is settled, how does it fall off?
It takes a couple years. So eventually, after I think about between 7 to 10 years, don't quote me on that, but eventually that debt does fall off.
If you are not actively making a payment on that debt. So if you have a debt in collections and you are not making a payment, it's usually about 7 years when that will fall off. But if you are actively trying to rebuild your credit, sometimes you think, oh, I can just wait it out. But do remember that collections don't stop. Like if you have something else, it's going to hit. If you did something 2 years after that, remember that's another 2 years. You got to wait till that 7 years happens. So it's really important, like Terry has mentioned, and Amanda as well, just try to reach out to your collectors. Get in front of it on the front end so that you can be ahead of it, and just be honest and have a good conversation and tell them the truth. Again, don't say what you think they want to hear. If you're not able to make the payment in the full amount, just try to work something out with that for that collection so that you don't find yourself in a situation where we are having to call or collect or come get things, because we really want to make sure that you have the goods that you have purchased from, used from us, and we don't want to take those from you. Correct?
Right. We understand that everybody's situation is different.
Mm-hmm.
So as reach out to us, explain what's going on. We want you to keep anything that you purchase with the funds that we've given you. So make sure that you just stay in contact with that particular financial institution.
Well, I'm excited because this has been a very informative episode for me as well. I hope it has been for you, Terry. Thank you so
You're
much
welcome.
for joining us. We really appreciate you. Listen, hey, we want to connect with you. Shoot us an email, give us a call, walk into any of our branches, and remember that we are here to help you build a better financial future, and we really want to ensure that we're available to help you meet your financial goals. So tune in next time. We will see you next month.